Anytime you're shortcutting it, you're probably cheating some people. Players play. Tough players win.
What is going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the Centered Podcast. For those of you joining us for the first time ever, my name is Anthony Ianni. I'm a former Michigan State basketball player and the first ever Division I college basketball player in NCAA history with an autism diagnosis. If you are new to the episode and want to check out more episodes of the Centered Podcast, you can check us out on iTunes, Spotify, Odyssey.com, wherever you get your podcasts at. And if you like to see the video of today's interview, please subscribe to our YouTube channel, which is the Centered Podcast. Again, the previous episode, we had Antoine Simmons on. Incredible episode from an incredible guy. He's going to get drafted. We don't know where yet. Hopefully in the next couple of days. At the time of this recording, the NFL draft is ongoing. So we will see where Antoine Simmons ends up. But today I'm super excited for this episode because I get to bring on another former teammate of mine. A teammate of mine who is an incredible guy, a hard worker, and has an incredible story. And that's Delvon Roe. And for Spartan fans tuning in, you know, most of you know about Delvon. Delvon was one of the top-ranked players in his recruiting class in 2008 at number 11 overall by Scout.com, number 15 in ESPN's Top 150. He was a top 5 power forward. I mean, the accolades go on and on. He was all Division I Ohio, all Ohio Division I honorary, 2007 runner-up for Mr. Basketball in Ohio, played for Eric Flannery at the legendary St. Edward's High School. And Delvon's accolades go in college, too. He's a Big Ten, all Big Ten freshman team, was the only freshman to start in the 2009 National Championship game against North Carolina in Detroit. Unfortunately, Delvon had to retire early in his basketball career on September 29, 2011, which was our senior year, due to chronic knee pain. And we definitely talk about this on this episode as well. And now he's a big-time actor. I called him Mr. Hollywood to sign off the last show, and I'm sticking to it. And he's now an actor in Hollywood. He's currently starring as Dante on the TV show Games People Play, which season 2 will be coming out this fall. You can watch that on BTE. If you want to check out season 1, go to the BTE app. And he was also in on-screen roles in movies such as Love and Honor, which he starred in with Liam Hemsworth. That's Chris Hemsworth's brother, by the way. So Liam is not Thor, for those of you that do not know. So Liam Hemsworth, he starred in the movie with Love and Honor. And he also had roles in the movie Abducted and The Cager, which was directed by our very own former Michigan State basketball player, Keenan Wetzel. Delvon also made appearances on Taj.0, The Real Husbands of Hollywood with Kevin Hart. And he also was in the Intel commercial with LeBron James, where LeBron cried on his shoulder. So if you want, go back and watch a slow replay. You will find Delvon Roe in that commercial. So super excited to have Delvon on the show today. We talked about a lot. So let's get into it. Here's my conversation with former Michigan State Spartan, Delvon Roe. So Delvon, how I introduced you, signing off on my last show, I introduced you as Mr. Hollywood. And it's definitely proven itself because, when we tried to schedule this interview, the text I got from you was, I got an audition. I got to call in. We got to reschedule. I was like, yep, got to say, he's proving my point as Mr. Hollywood.
It's been crazy. I've been grateful, though, to be busy. After the pandemic, everything just shut down. Or before the pandemic, or during the pandemic, everything shut down. So now everything's starting to pick back up. So I'm excited to get back out there, auditioning, going out for projects and stuff like that, man. I'm really excited for that next aspect of, just seeing what my career has in store for me next, coming up, just by being more, just trying to just be more truthful in my acting, and just leave it all out there. Got nothing to lose, just like a basketball player. Go out there and just and make your coach give you 10 minutes when you only have 5 minutes. You know what I mean?
Kind of talk about that real quick. So obviously we'll talk about, the series that you're currently on right now, Games People Play. We'll talk about that later. But kind of talk about how, that everything was going smooth for you. And then, bam, pandemic hits, everything's at a standstill. Kind of talk about that experience that you had with that.
Yeah, it was crazy. It was crazy. You know, we heard some rumors, you know, that the coronavirus is on its way to America. You know, things might be shutting down or whatnot. But we're like, no, that's not happening. And you know, we're supposed to start filming games people play 2 weeks, or not 2 weeks, a week before the pandemic started. So you know, we got the call that they're gonna push production back a couple months. We ended up having to wait actually a whole year before we were able to shoot season 2 of games people play. So it's been a crazy experience.
Man, that's crazy. That's crazy. But again, glad you're healthy, man. Glad things are getting busy for you. We'll talk about it a bit. But, you know, the one thing that during our time at Michigan State that we always talk about was the joking that we did with everybody, the locker room chemistry, the camaraderie. And
yeah,
I have so many different memories of that. But one of the things I always remember was, you know, whenever I was introduced as Anthony Ianni from East Lansing, Michigan, you guys would give me a tough time about how, you know, hey, you went to Okemos, you can't claim East Lansing.
yeah.
So I'm gonna ask you the same question. Do you claim Cleveland or Euclid, Ohio?
Oh, that's a good one. That's a good one. I claim Cleveland only because that's where people know. You know, when you say Euclid, no one's not going to recognize what that is or where that is.
Mm-hmm.
So I say Cleveland, and then I say home of LeBron. You know, they're like, oh, okay, I know where that's at. I know where Cleveland is. So, you know, I'm trying to put Cleveland back on the map.
I love that, man. I love that. Kind of talk about growing up in Cleveland.
Oh man, it was great. You know, small city, small town feel living in Euclid. You know, not a lot of people, blue collar, you know, mindset. I loved it. I loved it. I loved everything about it. And I tried to get my wife to try to move back out to Cleveland. She's like, no, I'm not moving to Cleveland. There's nothing to do in Cleveland. What's to do in Cleveland? I'm like, there's a lot to do in Cleveland. You just got to give Cleveland a chance. And now we got some good sports team. The Browns getting ready to go to the Super Bowl. Yeah, you heard me say it. The Super Bowl. So, you know, it's a lot going on in Cleveland. I'm excited. But growing up, it was a lot of fun, man. I spent most of my time on the basketball court or either baseball field. So I didn't really get to experience Cleveland, you know, like going out with your friends and doing stuff like that. Obviously, you're too young to do that. And then when I went to college, I didn't get to come back home that often. Then I moved straight from college. Michigan State moved straight out to California. So I really never really experienced Cleveland of just going out and having fun and you know, seeing the town and doing things of that sort. So starting to see where the city has come from where it was when I was a kid and where it is now is night and day. Downtown looks so much nicer. It's a lot more things to do. So I really, really enjoy Cleveland. I love Cleveland. I wish I could live in Cleveland, but hey, can't beat this weather. You just can't beat this weather. So, you know, I golf 12 months of the year out here. So I love it. I love it out here.
Now you're just bragging, man. Now you're bragging. So you mentioned baseball and basketball. So were those kind of like your two main sports growing up? Like was football in the conversation at all?
Man, I love football. I actually believe I would be a really good quarterback, believe it or not, because I was a baseball pitcher. I was a pitcher in baseball. So I believe I have a good arm in football, but my mom and dad never allowed me to play never allowed me to play football. So I was one of those kids that, you know, only looked good in recess. You know what I mean? So I never got to play on the football field, never put a helmet on. So I stuck basically with basketball and baseball.
Okay. So you're going through elementary and middle school now. So when did kind of like, you know, basketball training like kind of really pick up for you? And when did you kind of put baseball, you know, in the rearview mirror?
Basketball for me didn't start until I was around 11 years old, 12 years old. I was on a baseball traveling team at the time, and we only started a basketball team because we had nothing to do in the fall because baseball season was over because it's snowing. So we decided, the guys decided to start a basketball team. And I was like, let's do it. I'll play on the team, you know, just to do it. And I ended up falling in love with it. I was at the time just tall and lanky, no moves, no skill whatsoever. But I just played so hard, extremely hard. And I just kept working on my game, just kept working on it, started to fall in love with it. And I had to make a decision when I was in the 7th grade. I remember leaving an AAU tournament where I didn't put in that much time on the basketball court preparing for the tournament. I was just playing baseball and thought I could just go out there and participate in the tournament and have a great tournament, but that didn't happen. I ended up having a terrible tournament. I played bad, and I got in the car and I was crying. And my dad told me, like, you got to figure out what do you want to do. Do you want to play baseball? That's great. But if you want to be a basketball player, you got to put in the time. You got to put in the work. And I decided from that day forward that I was going to always be prepared. So when I got on the basketball court, I was never going to be on the court and be unprepared, not prepared, no confidence. I was going to be confident. I was going to be ready for the moment when that moment arrived. So for me, after 7th grade, after that tournament in Virginia, I started taking basketball way more serious and wanted to dominate.
So obviously baseball's behind you now. You start putting in the work in basketball. So when did you realize that, hey, you know, I could be pretty good, you know, not only good, I could be really great at basketball. So when did it kind of click for you? Like, okay, you know, I'm starting to dominate the competition. You know, now I got to put in the work. You know, maybe as a freshman, I got a chance to play varsity right away. You know, when did that all kind of click for you?
I would probably say I was always a pretty humble guy. So I never really thought I was that good in basketball. I always thought, I was just a hard worker. I worked you. I didn't think I had the best ball handling skills or anything of that sort when I was growing up. Obviously when you're young, you always think about the right now. And you don't think about the progress and process it takes, by the time you're a senior or you're a freshman in college, of how much better you will become at something if you just continue to keep working it. So you don't think about that at a young age. So at the time, for me, I thought when I made the jump from baseball to basketball, when I got to around the 8th grade and I started to see that, oh, I'm pretty athletic. I'm starting to dunk the ball in the 8th grade. I'm starting to run the floor and beat everybody down the floor and get easy baskets for layups and rebounding and just by playing hard and noticing I didn't really have the skill yet, but my dad was always in my head about hard work beats talent when talent doesn't work hard. Just keep working hard. Just keep improving. And I just kept doing that. And I remember when I was a sophomore, was I a sophomore? I want to say a sophomore in high school. I was at Six Flags in Ohio, and I got a call from Roy Williams on my voicemail. And I think it was that point right there where I realized, wow, I could be good at this thing. I got, Roy Williams, coach at UNC, calling me on my phone, leaving me a voicemail. So it was at that point where I realized, I could be really good at this sport if I continue to develop.
So that phone call from Roy Williams was kind of started your journey for you after that. Because if you think about your junior year, you had such a dominant year, like you were runner up for Mr. Ohio basketball. So kind of talk about your junior year a little bit, Delvon, and like being runner up to Mr. Ohio, like did that motivate you even more for your senior year to go out
and
not only be that, but go out
absolutely
and championship?
Absolutely. My junior year, we ended up going to the state championship. We lost in the state championship. We ended up going, I believe, undefeated in the regular season my junior year and only losing in the state Final Four. So I had a huge chip on my shoulder going into my senior year that I was going to try to bring, my team, my coach, my school, the championship going into my senior year. So I was extremely focused going into my senior year. My junior year was a great year for me personally, only because it was the first time that it was my team. The guys who were on the team when I was a sophomore, they're juniors and seniors, and it was their team. But now when you're a junior, you step into that role of, now you're the man. It's your time to shine. It's your time to lead the troops. So for me, that was a big time for my progress as a player because, I wanted to show that I could lead, that I was a guy that could lead a team to a championship, and then to come up short, that crushed me. So I worked extremely hard going into my senior year. I got bigger, I got stronger. I believe I was at 230. My ball handling had gotten a lot better. My jump shooting was getting better. And then all of a sudden I got hurt. So, it was very, very tough for me to go through that, knowing that, all the hard work that I put in, and I wasn't able to see it come to fruition of winning a championship.
And obviously you were set up too for a big senior year. And it started off with a bang on that, nationally televised high school game. And I was in my apartment at Grand Valley State watching that game actually with a couple of roommates of mine. And, obviously you were committed to Michigan State at the time, which we'll get into in a little bit, but then you went up for that dunk, man. And I remember the whole gym just going nuts. And I was like, yep, Michigan State's getting a good one. I'm excited to see. So kind of talk about the recruiting process with you, Delvon, because you talked about Roy Williams. He was kind of like the first guy that called you. And then who kind of like called you after that? And then when did Michigan State started coming in the mix?
Tom Izzo, I got a helicopter flying over. So
you're good.
All right, good. Izzo started recruiting me when I was a sophomore as well. After when I was a sophomore, after the Nike All-American camp in Indianapolis, that's when I started to get in contact with Coach Izzo and the staff. From the beginning, I felt that the staff was just real, and right away I felt that family vibe. You can just talk to Coach Izzo, you can talk to Coach Stevenson and Coach Monty at the time, and just get that sense of, they got your back. They're going to push you, they're going to work you, but at the end of the day, it's going to be a family. And that really attracted me to Michigan State. And every game that I had throughout the summer, those coaches was there. And for me, when you're looking at a school to go to, you're looking and you're trying to break it down to who wants you and who needs you. And the want and need are two different things. And I felt at the time North Carolina was a school that I could have went to and did really well there. But at the end of the day, I felt like they wanted me, but they didn't need me. A school like Michigan State, I felt at the time needed. I was one at the time a big piece of their puzzle to make it to a Final Four. And I wanted to go to a school where I would have a huge impact. And for me, my family is a big part of me. And for them to travel to North Carolina, that's a 13, 14-hour drive. And Michigan State's only a 4-hour drive. So thinking a little selfishly about wanting to see my family, I decided Michigan State was the best option only because, it's closer to home. I get the family vibes with the coaching staff, and I know the players that's coming in there. And also what I can get at North Carolina 13 hours away, I can get at Michigan State only 4 hours. And that ended up proving itself right because we ended up playing North Carolina in the national championship game.
So was there any, did Ohio State ever give you that phone call at all? Like you being,
the
home state kid, how hard did they pursue you?
Yeah, Ohio State pursued me very hard. I got pursued by pretty much every school in the country,
right.
Every school that was in the Big Ten. But for me personally, I wanted to get out of Ohio. Mm-hmm. So I spent my whole life, about 16, 17, 18 years in Ohio. I wanted to leave and get out of there and experience something else. But it would have been fun to go to Ohio State as well, just because all the guys who I've worked out with and played with when I was young. Those were the guys who I grew up with that went to Ohio State, like the John Dieblers and David Leidy's, Dallas Lauderdale's. So that could have been a fun experience too. But for me, I wanted to get out of Ohio.
So what was kind of like your top five or your final five, final three before you committed?
Top five, if I can remember correctly, I think it was Michigan State, North Carolina, Kansas was in that top five, Michigan, and either Illinois or Ohio State. It was like 5A and 5B. I wasn't going to neither of those schools, but you have to keep them on your list just so you can get those football tickets. You know what I mean?
So I'm guessing you went to a Michigan game then.
Oh yeah. I went to the Michigan Ohio State football game when they were 1-2 back then.
Really?
And then after that game, I took Ohio State off my list. But I had to make sure I went to some football games.
Kind of talk about that a little bit. Obviously, you talk about you're a big football guy, but you got to witness a 1-2 matchup
yeah, it was cool.
And arguably maybe one of the biggest rivalries in all college football. What was that like?
Man, I saw a lot of great football games, a lot of great college football games. You remember the games we used to go to in Michigan State. We got to see Russell Wilson, throw that Hail Mary in the end zone against Michigan State. I forgot what year that was.
Our senior year.
Yep. That game we beat, I believe, Wisconsin when we caught the ball at the goal line. And
that was it.
Knows what I'm talking about?
Yep. And then Little Giants against Notre Dame.
Yeah.
Crazier.
Man. So being able to see some cool football games, and then obviously seeing the Ohio State Michigan game 1 versus 2 and that type of environment. And then you're going there to play basketball, but just to see the football atmosphere lets you know how you think the basketball atmosphere might be. So when you're able to go to a football stadium and watch, 1 versus 2, you're like, wow, this is what the environment is about. This is what it's about to play at the big time level. So, as a kid, it's great to go to those football games. Those are great recruiting tools. So I was just glad I was able to experience that.
And I definitely agree with you on, using football games as a big recruiting tool and a big recruiting pitch because whenever we have our reunions in the fall for basketball, which you need to attend one, by the way, I'm a state.
Very true. You're right.
But whenever we have, whenever we're on the field, and obviously, this being a former player and along with me, whenever we bring these recruits in, you want to like sell Michigan State, not only as a basketball program, but as a university as a whole.
Yeah.
When these recruits go to these football games to see how crazy of an atmosphere Spartan Stadium was, how crazy our fans are, how much they care. And when you walk to the corner of the student section and they basically know who the recruit is and which recruit is in town and they go nuts for the kid, that automatically sends the message to them like, man, like this is what I can get when I can come to Michigan State. Whereas I can't get this if I go to, I'm just randomly naming a school here, like Cincinnati or like or even maybe like or like a Stanford University. Somebody
or like a Michigan, they don't win. They don't win. You want to go to a school that wins.
That wins games, wins championships.
Exactly.
Damn right, man. So I do have to ask you this though, because Roy Williams, and obviously you and Roy, after he retired, you gave him a shout out on Twitter. You still have a good relationship with him, as far as I know.
Yeah. The
comments he made in his book about a certain recruit. Obviously we all know that was you, obviously.
Uh-huh.
So basically, like, what was kind of your thoughts when that was put in his book? And were you pretty close to going to North Carolina?
I'll tell it to you like it's straight, man. I'll be honest for you. I did commit to North Carolina.
Really?
I committed to North Carolina. I committed to North Carolina when I was a junior.
Okay.
I committed to no, that's a lie. I committed to North Carolina when I was a sophomore. I think it was a sophomore. I was a sophomore. I committed to Michigan State when I was a junior. So I committed to North Carolina when I was a sophomore. I committed to North Carolina during the North Carolina Duke basketball game. In Roy Williams' office, I committed. And at the time, you bring a 16-year-old to North Carolina Duke basketball game.
Yep.
You see that environment. You see that was a game when Tyler Hansbrough nose got all blood.
Yes, I remember that.
That epic game. So I was able to go to that game and just being around, that environment, and I was just very hyped up. And I told Coach Williams, I want to play. I want to go. I want to play at this school. And at the time I did. I really did want to go and play in North Carolina. Michael Jordan played there. All the greats played there. Great tradition. And then I just saw the relentless of Coach Izzo.
Mm-hmm.
He continued to stay and come to every AAU event that I played in. And he wasn't bringing the assistant coaches anymore. It was Coach Izzo coming to every event that I had. Every practice that I might, he would come to Michigan or come to Ohio and watch the practice, or come to a workout, or come to a AAU event and be the first person, in the stands waiting for me to play. And he just kept a relentless effort of staying in contact with the family. And I was getting close to getting ready to commit and make my decision public. And I started to think about my family, what I can get at North Carolina 14 hours away, I can definitely get at Michigan State only 4 hours away.
Right.
And I love the coaching staff, and I love the players that they had coming in. I had a good relationship with Draymond, I had a good relationship with Corey. I had a great relationship with Travis Walton, Goran Sutan. And I didn't really have that same relationship with any of the players in North Carolina. I didn't have no relationship with anybody. I was just going there based off of who they were, North Carolina. Right. So with me, it was more like, I want to go somewhere now where, I'm going to be comfortable. And then I started to think about the wants and the need. Who wants me and who needs me? If I don't go to North Carolina, it's okay. They'll go find another 5-star prospect, offer him a scholarship. No worries, no problem. No big deal. Right. But if I don't go to Michigan State, that could set them back a couple of years, if I don't go there. This is a big time chance for them if they land, and if I do go there, I have opportunity to be the star and help this team, win a national championship, something they haven't done in a long time. At North Carolina, it'd be like, okay, you're welcome to the club. You want another national championship, just like all the other people have done, So for me, I wanted to take that challenge. I wanted to be the man, and I wanted to be the guy who can be the reason why a team makes it to a Final Four, or be the reason why a team wins a national championship, or be that last missing piece of the puzzle. So I'm like, let's do it. Let's go to Michigan State. So I called Roy Williams. I let him know that I was making a decision to go to Michigan State, and he was shocked. He was like, mouth to the floor, like, what happened? What changed your thought process, And one thing that changed it was, obviously I said that Coach Izzo kept coming to watch me play, even though that he knew that I might not be going there. Right. And then with Roy Williams, once I did commit, I didn't really see them that often. So they didn't keep coming. So I took a notice of that. And I just made a decision to go to Michigan State and trust blind faith. And ended up being one of the best decisions of my life. Ended up playing in 2 Final Fours, 1 national championship, winning Big Ten championships. Just didn't work out for me personally based off the injury.
So kind of talk about, you talk about the Final Fours, 2009 in Detroit. Talk about that experience. Like, this is your freshman year, a year where, you're coming off your injury, and you basically, you're in the starting lineup right when you're healthy. And then obviously you have a dominant Big Ten season as a team, and then you get into the tournament, to kind of talk about the run to Detroit, if you will.
Man, it was amazing. That was probably one of the greatest moments of my life. I'm sure yours as well. When you got to experience a Final Four run, yep. Just because of the journey it takes to get there, how hard it is to get to a Final Four, and not let alone a national championship game, and let alone in your own home state, Michigan. So that was amazing to be able to play in a Final Four in front of, so many Michigan State fans. And also, our walkthrough, we had 60,000 people at our walkthrough, our shoot around. So the journey to get there was unbelievable. We play a lot of great teams. I think we had to beat 3 number 1 seeds. We beat Louisville. Yep. They were number 1 seed. We beat UConn, number 1 seed. And I guess we didn't beat 3. We lost to North Carolina, the last number 1 seed that we would have had to win the championship. But we were the underdogs. No one ever gave us a shot to go to a Final Four that year. They thought it would be a good story, if Michigan State made it. But no one really penciled us in to go to a Final Four unless you were a Michigan State fan.
Right.
And so when we played that first round game against I think it was, I forgot the team name we played. Robert Morris, we played in the first round.
Yep.
We beat them pretty good. And then we played USC in the second game. And we handled them pretty good as well. And I think it was at that point for us, we knew that we can go to a Final Four if we just get to that Elite Eight game. You know how we say, if we just get to that Elite Eight game, we're going to a Final Four. You're not going to beat us in that Elite Eight game. That's not happening. So then we had to play Louisville in the Sweet 16, and that's the Caden Lucas game, you know, where he went off and had a heck of a game, and we ended up beating them. And I think we had to play Kansas in the Elite Eight, right?
Switch it up. It was Kansas in the Sweet 16.
Kansas in the Sweet 16. Kansas in the Sweet 16. And then Louisville in the Elite Eight.
Yep.
Got you. Yeah. Yeah, man. It was a good time. It was a good time. Good run. We had a lot of dogs on that team, as you can remember. We had a lot of guys who didn't mind getting down and dirty, you know, playing physical, playing tough, and talking a little bit of trash. You know, and you got to have that type of mentality when you're trying to win championships and you're trying to get to Final Fours. You got to have that dog mentality where, you know, we just got to get a stop when we need to. We got to get a bucket when we need to. And we had guys on our team that can do both.
And you did, man. And you also talk about, you know, during the run to Detroit, just how crazy it was. But you guys as a team, too, kind of gave like a whole different, you know, hope and inspiration to a state and a city during that time that was so down that it needed a spark. And your guys' run, and I can remember this too, because, you know, this is before I got to Michigan State. You know, as a kid growing up from Michigan, like just seeing all the poverty that was going on in our state, just like, you know, the Oldsmobile factory shutting down in Lansing, which lost so many jobs, you know, in our state. And then Detroit at the time was going through some tough times. And then you guys make this run, and all of a sudden you give the entire state of Michigan not just hope, but some incredible inspiration on your guys' part. So that's something that you're going to carry with forever, knowing that you guys lifted up an entire state based off of one run.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun, and to know that you're not just playing for yourself, you're playing for a whole community, playing for a whole state, you know. And then you start to realize you're not just playing for a state, you're playing for a whole nation. You're playing for Spartan Nation. Yeah. You know, there's people all over the place. There's people in California, there's people overseas, you know, that's huge Spartan fans. And you don't realize that until you start to travel. And you start to see people, oh, hey, Delvon, or hey, Michigan State, you got a Michigan State shirt on, go green, go white, you know, and it's a big family. And that's the great part about Michigan State.
I didn't really realize how many people, you know, from an alumni standpoint, fan base standpoint that we had until the Rose Bowl when the football team was out there a few years ago. And I don't know if you were at the big pep rally outside of Staples Center.
Oh, yeah.
So they said there was 20,000 people, or no, 27,000 people outside the Staples Center for that pep rally. And,
wow,
you know, I was thinking, okay, there'll probably be a good 8,000 people at this pep rally. Nowhere in my mind, I'm thinking, yeah, they're going to get a 5-figure, you know, attendance. But
yeah,
I, you know, my wife Kelly and I, we go to the pep rally, and I look around, I'm like, where do all these people come from? And like, I knew we had a big alumni base out in California on the West Coast, but I was just amazed by that. And then I realized, okay, we got a pretty good chunk of Michigan State folks.
Absolutely.
Man. Yeah. It's just incredible. So the Final Four run, and then you and I get to meet for the first time, you know, and, you know, there's a couple stories we'll get into in a little bit. But that year, though, you know, 2010, when we went to Indy, that was an interesting year, man, because, you know, this is just me. I felt like that we went through quite a few ups and downs that year as a team. And then we're still Big Ten champs. Then we get to the Big Ten tournament, and then Minnesota knocks us out. And I remember in our team meeting, I think it was Isaiah Dahlman that brought this up, how everybody and more, whether it was from players to managers to video coordinators, whoever, everybody has to make some type of sacrifice for the next 3 weeks.
Yeah, I remember that.
Because I remember Isaiah Dahlman, Zeke was like, I'm not going out, you know, one and done. You know, yeah, we're a 5 seed. I'm not losing the first round. I'm not losing the second round. I'm not losing the rest of the year. So everybody in here needs to figure out what we got to sacrifice in order to win a national championship. Because if you look at that year, Delvon, it basically was a toss-up for anybody that anybody could win the tournament that year.
Oh yeah, if Kansas didn't lose that year, they would have probably won.
Yeah. I forgot about Kansas. I completely forgot because they were loaded that year. And you're right. And they were in our region. They were in our region
I remember,
because in Northern Iowa,
excited when we saw they lost.
Yep, we were, because if Northern Iowa didn't lose, we're playing Kansas and St. Louis, and that's basically a court advantage for them.
Yep.
Obviously, a lot of things, went in our favor, but as a player, and as a teammate, when Isaiah Dahlman is making that speech, and as a guy who had the red shirt and had to sit out the whole year, I was still sitting there going, yeah, like, we can do this. Like, we can, despite everything that's happened this year, we can make a run at this thing.
Yep, and especially when you realize it's only 4 games. You gotta
yeah.
It doesn't seem like a lot, but when you break it down, if you really break it down, the first game is probably the hardest game if you ask me. That first game is the hardest.
Yep.
You win that first game, that second game ain't that hard.
No.
Honestly, it's really not that hard. You just follow the game plan, you listen to the coaches, and you execute. Obviously, that sounds easy, but it's not. But you execute, you do those things, you have a chance. You just have a chance to be in the game within 2 minutes to go. It goes either way. You got a chance. Now, you win that game, now you're in the Sweet 16. Mm-hmm. Now we're talking about we're in the Sweet 16. We're only 2 games away from a Final Four. Sweet 16 game, that's a tough game. That's the next toughest game. And then, but that Elite 8 game, to me, ain't that tough again. You're in the Elite 8 now. It's like, do you want? I call that the who wants it more game.
Yep.
Who wants it more? Go get it. Who's going to make all the plays and who's going to play physical from the beginning to end? Who's going to dive on the floor for the loose balls? Who's going to communicate on every possession? So maybe I'm spoiled because we played in 2 Final Fours. I'm spoiled, but I just think if you follow the game plan, obviously got to be on a good team. If you're coming in as a 16 seed, 12 seed, or whatever, it's a lot tougher for you. But if you get in within that 1 through 5, 1 through 6 range, I think you have a good chance to make it to a Final Four if you have the right, pieces together on your team that's 1, mentally tough, 2, experience. We were experienced. We went to the national championship the year before, so that second season, no matter what seed we were in, we felt as if we can get back there just because we had everybody back.
Right.
So, experience is a big thing. We got guys as juniors and seniors and some freshmen who is now sophomore who has played and tested battles. You can make a run. And then finally, you just got to have a couple dogs on your team. You got to have a couple guys that's not afraid to get a bucket when you need a bucket, and a couple guys who's not afraid to knock somebody on their butt when they need to. You got to have some guys that's physical.
And Coach Izzo had that saying too, you get me through Thursday, you get me through Friday, I'll get you through the weekend.
Absolutely.
And when he first said that, I didn't understand that at all.
Me neither. I was like, what are you talking about?
I was like, what in the world are you talking about? But now looking back on it, I'm like, okay, the first game's the toughest, we through that, he'll get us through the weekend like it's a normal game. So, but I mean, just the way he man, like with Coach,
just breaking it down.
Exactly.
He's brilliant in that regard of making you think that if you just do this and I'll take care of the rest.
Yeah.
You just work your butt off in this little bit of time, you'll get the glorification of having everything you want moving forward. If you just do the little things that's going to help you get there. And that's what we did. Players play tough, players win, man.
That's been our philosophy. And even the day when Iz retires, whenever that year comes, I hope it's not anytime soon. But, that philosophy should stick in the program forever because it's who we are. It's how we're defined in Michigan State. And
absolutely.
Speaking of Coach Iz, talk about your relationship with him.
Have a great relationship with him. I don't talk to him as much anymore. But when I was there, I had a great relationship with him. We cried a lot together. We argued a lot together. A lot of great times with Coach Iz, man. When you think about a coach, you want a coach that's going to push you, that's going to hold you accountable, and that's going to be honest with you. And that's all you can ask for. Anything else that happens after that, it just happens. But you want a guy that's going to be honest with you from the start. And he's always has been honest with me. I'm sure he's always been honest with you. You want a guy who's going to push you and tell you how it is. And one thing I can always respect about Coach is he always had your best interest in mind. He always thought, what was it that's going to help you be successful, and what going to be the things that's not going to help you be successful. And he's going to be hard as hell on you about the things that's not going to help you be successful. And he's not going to let up on it. He's going to continue to pound it and pound it and pound it until you realize these things are not going to help you be successful. Right. You know, and one of the, I use a lot of Tom-Izzo phrases, but one for this series that, you know, for your show that's PG is, you know, the real world don't care about you. The real world don't give a you know what about you. It doesn't care about you, you know, and that's the most honest thing that I think a coach can tell you. You know, that when you're done with college, you know, you're going to be in the real world. A lot of things are going to change for you, you know, and that's the truth. And so, yeah, my relationship with his is awesome, even though I don't talk to him as much anymore.
It's funny you talk about, you know, just some of the things and the wisdom that he gave to us. One of the things I always remember, and I completely understand it now that I'm older, you know, how much he hated social media. Like, you remember those classes we had to take, classes, and he would tell us all the time, like, just get rid of social, it's terrible, get rid of it. I hate it. And I remember, you know, Dan Chapman and I were looking at each other like, what's wrong with social media? Like, it's a good way to stay connected. But
right.
It was really Twitter that he hated. And as a player, I'm like, you know, what's so bad about it? But almost 10 years later, I look back on that and go, okay, now I understand why he hated it so much, because, man, it is, you can use Twitter as a good thing, and then Twitter is just straight off the edge bad after that.
Oh yeah, it's crazy how it can go one way for you, it can go another way for you, and you got to be, and especially at a young age, you don't know what the heck you're saying. You don't know, you don't even think twice. I can't imagine if we did have Twitter. Luckily, we did have it at the end, like we were seniors on our way out. You know, like I can't imagine having that as a freshman, a sophomore, and Instagram pictures, and oh God, I can imagine how much trouble we would have gotten.
Oh man, I tell people all the time, D-Rowe, that if I wasn't in the profession that I'm in today, I wouldn't even have Twitter. I would keep Facebook because it's for me to stay in contact with people.
Absolutely. I hate having to post stuff. I'm a private person, you know. We're old school, you know. We don't want to take pictures and show people what we're doing every 2 seconds and tweeting our opinions about things, you know, but it's just the nature of the biz. You got to be able to communicate with people. You got to build your following, especially as an actor. So unfortunately, that's just the world we live in now.
That, and you love to tweet about how much you love Baker Mayfield 1 minute, and then you absolutely despise him.
Absolutely. You see how much I flip-flop too.
Oh yeah, I see it. So let's go to your junior year now, and we're not going to talk about the season as a whole, because a lot of the fan base know that, you know, it's now considered the second worst season under Coach Izzo. You know, this season with everything that happened, some would consider it, you know, maybe the worst, but it's a debate for another time. So was this when the knee pain really started to kick in a lot for you? Was that year?
Knee pain started when I first got there. I was never 75%, never 65% while I was at Michigan State. The best game that I ever felt 100, the closest to 100% was the Penn State game, the game that I got hurt when Draymond got his triple-double.
Yes, I remember that.
That was the best I had felt. I didn't have no knee braces on. I felt good. You know, I felt springy. I felt like myself. And then I got hurt. And then it put me back even more. And it was just always something that came, you know, that put me back a couple of steps. So my junior year, you know, my freshman year, I had meniscus I had to deal with, and I ended up having surgery going into my sophomore year. I had the meniscus, but I didn't want to tell anybody. So, because I didn't, you know, I was like, shit, I've been hurt every year. I just want to play. I just want to play. I'm just going to suck it up. I'm going to play. I'm playing this year. I'm not sitting. And which was probably the dumbest decision of my life. You know, when you're thinking about college basketball now, if I would tell a kid, you got to be selfish. You got to be selfish. You got to think about yourself first and also think about the team. But when I'm talking about you have a chance to go to the NBA or you have a chance to play professionally, you got to start thinking about yourself too. If you're hurt, if you're hurt, you're just making yourself look bad by going out there and play. Even though you might help the team, win a game or something, but you're still making yourself look bad at the end of the day. So I wish I would have, if I can do things over it, I probably would have redshirted a year, just to get my body healed and get my body back feeling, the way it should be feeling, right, to be the player that I know I could have became. So for me, my junior year was just like it just magnified how much I was tired of being hurt. So like, wow, and I'm hurt again. After my junior year was pretty smooth. I didn't really have no major injuries my junior year or anything. I never missed a game. All those injuries I had, I never missed a game. And I was very proud of that. Right. But my senior year, that junior year summer, going into my senior year, I sprained my ankle really bad. And at the time, my knees were starting to swell up already, and the season had not even started. Usually my knees don't start swelling up until we start, fall practice in September, right. And it was July and my knees was hurting and I was feeling body aching and it's like, what's going on? And just after being hurt so often, the love for the game goes away. Your love for it go away. It doesn't feel like you're doing it for love. You're doing it like it's a job, like you're doing it for someone else. So, and that wasn't fun for me. So that was a tough part. But if I can do it over again, I would probably redshirt my freshman year, the year that we went to a Final Four. And I was like, man, that sucks. I'd rather go to a Final Four when you're a 16-year-old, 18-year-old kid. That's what you're thinking about. I want to play, but you're not thinking about your future. You're not thinking about 6-7 years down the line. Just slow down. You're going to have a future. You're going to play 4 years at Michigan State or whatever. You're going to have a chance to take them to a national championship or a Final Four. It just might not be in Detroit, and I didn't want to hear that. I'm like, I want to play. Do whatever it takes. Do whatever it takes to get me back. So it was one of those decisions where I played for the team. But I wish that I would have been a player that was a little bit more selfish and worrying about my personal injuries and my personal career.
So when did it all kind of set in your mind that, you know what, it's just too much for me, I need to walk away?
The junior summer, after I sprained my knee, my ankle injury, after I sprained my ankle and after my knee started to swell up, I started to feel as if, the ball's going to have to stop bouncing sooner or later. Mm-hmm. And for me, it might as well stop bouncing now because I don't think I'm going to be playing basketball moving forward after college. I don't see me playing professionally overseas because that never was my goal. My goal was always NBA. So I never even thought about overseas. That wasn't going to happen. So I always wanted to play in the NBA. And if I was to do that all over again too, sometimes nothing's wrong with going overseas. There's nothing wrong with going overseas and finding your way back to the NBA, but at a young age, you're just thinking, my one dream is over, the NBA. So there's no other option for me, And so I wish I would have, just kept staying after it, maybe redshirt a year, get your body right. Maybe I should have, instead of saying I want to retire my senior year, I should have redshirted that senior year, and say, I'm just going to redshirt, coach, and see how next year is, see how I feel. Because I do know when I moved out to California and I took that year off my senior year of not playing basketball my senior year and I moved out to California and I used to go out and play with people and play, I looked like I looked before my injuries at Michigan State. So that's what started getting in my mind thinking like, man, if I would have just took some time off and got my body right, I could have been back to the player that I was before, so that's what I struggle with, as I approach my older years in life.
So the day you retired, man, I still remember like it was yesterday. We all came in the locker room before workouts and Here you are walking in, last person to walk in, you pull a chair right in the middle of, the locker room. And we're all looking around, and I had no idea what was going on at the time. Maybe Draymond knew at the time, maybe Austin knew, but nobody else did. And you started breaking down. I was like, okay, like something's not right here. And then you flat out said, I have to retire. And I remember my jaw just dropped because like I knew how much pain you were going through over the last few years, but I did not know that it got to the point where you had to walk away. And, and I remember after practice, before practice started, we all went up to the gym, and I don't think you saw this at all because I think you were upstairs, prepping for your press conference. Day went over to the water cooler and just started sobbing. And because that's how emotional it was, and I could tell, like, obviously with you, it was super emotional because, it's one thing to leave the game, but it's another thing to, have to leave your brothers, if you will.
Yeah, it was tough.
Yeah, have to leave a group of guys that you love. And
absolutely.
And I'm not comparing the situations at all, but when I left Grand Valley State, the hardest thing I had to do was tell the people that I was closest to.
Yeah.
Whether it was friends, administrators, a couple coaches, was just sit down and say, yeah, I'm leaving. Like, these are my reasons why. Like, and it was really hard. And again, I'm not comparing the situations, but, did you ever have thoughts in your mind of, man, like, how are they going to react? What are they going to
say? Absolutely. That was the hardest part, like you said, those are the guys you go to war with every single day. Those are the relationships you build. And that's what made me play. You guys were the reason that made me play and not take a red shirt and try to cover up injuries and try to just deal with the pain just so I can be out there with the guys, and help you guys win and do it together. So that was the hardest part of just saying, man, I just can't go to war with you guys anymore. I just can't do it. And not just because I can't do it physically, I just couldn't do it mentally. It was just killing me mentally. And, we don't have a coaching staff that's, that's going to be soft and sugarcoat things with you and say, it's okay, it's okay your knee hurt. It's okay you missed that layup. It's okay you didn't get that rebound. No. They're going to be all over you. You better bring it. You got to bring it. So I felt like I couldn't bring it no more. And that was tough, and it's still tough for me to this day. But I felt at that time I had to do for the first time what was right for me, what I felt was the best thing for me and not everybody else.
Right.
So I still get choked up talking about it because that's a very emotional time in my life because I love all my teammates and I love my coaching staff. And when I went there, I said, I want to win national championships. I want to win Big Ten championships. And to get close and not win a national championship and to still have one more year to do that but to walk out and say I couldn't do it no more, that was tough.
And again, like, it's and even your press conference, man, like, I know I got super emotional because, this was a guy who, I'm talking about you, you were a guy who I love and still do and admired as a teammate. And I always knew that, we were going to graduate together, you, me, and
Dan. We had a lot of battles. We spent a lot of time together, you and I, man. I always tell people you were the hardest working walk-on I've ever met, man. You used to make guys better. It's just like people don't understand what type of impact players like you make on the team. You make the team better just because you play so hard. You show up. And you're diving on the floor for loose balls. I'm like, well, if Anthony Ioni can dive on the floor for loose balls and play as hard as he can, why the hell can't we? Why can't we do it? So you players like you are the reason why teams and programs are successful. Those walk-ons are very, very important to helping the guys who do play get better. And continue to pound us and make sure that, we don't take anything for granted, that we're not complaining about fouls because nobody fouls more than Anthony Ioni. Trust me.
I remember Day would hate it all the time whenever I was on him in practice. He hated it. And Iz would call it every time. And, Day got in my face one time, like, why the hell charges in practice? I'm like, because you're driving baseline every time, and the scouting you're going to drive baseline. So I'm making sure you make the mistake now and not when it really matters.
Yeah.
And oh man, no, those were the best times, man. And you remember Ray Weathers at all?
Oh yeah.
So when Ray was back on campus getting his degree, and we were going through scout team and on defense too, it was Isaiah Dahlman that came up to me because Zeke was doing some office stuff and working behind the scenes after he graduated. And so after we got done running through scout team, Zeke came over to me and goes, hey, AI, come here. He's like, do you know what Ray Weathers just said about you? I'm like, oh God, I'm thinking, okay, he probably said something about why I have no hair right now. Like I know something's coming because it's always been like, it was always like that at Michigan State with us, man. We would joke with each other.
Yeah, always.
So that was my first reaction was, oh, okay, what's this joke?
Yeah.
What is it? Tell me, Isaiah. And he goes, he just called you the Rudy of Michigan State basketball.
You are.
And I was
I agree. That's awesome.
I was like, okay. So I take that as a compliment very much.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I do want to ask you one more thing, and then we'll get into your acting career because, how your acting career started, who you got to star in your first film with, which I think is pretty cool. And then we'll talk about your career today. So anybody listening to this knows my background, being on the autism spectrum, first Division I college basketball player with it. Do you remember the day I told you that I was on the spectrum? Do you remember that?
Say that again?
So do you remember the day that I first told you that I had autism? Do you remember that day?
I think so.
So we were
in the locker room. Were we driving? We're in the locker room. I thought we were in the locker room.
We were driving because we were coming back from Iz's house, having a team dinner, and then we're driving.
Okay.
I'm driving you back to Cherry Lanes.
And the Oldsmobile.
The Oldsmobile, man. The ugliest car you'll ever see. But to this day, Dan Chapman has always said it was like sitting in a lazy boy when it came to that car, man, because it was uncomfortable. But as we were listening to, as you were playing songs on my iPad, and it was Michael Jackson songs, I remember you were playing a lot of them.
Oh yeah.
For whatever reason, we were at the stoplight off of Harrison Road. And I just thought I told you, hey, this is who I am. This is my story. This is my background. This is what was said about me. And what was kind of your initial thoughts at first, like me telling you all this? And was there ever a thought of, man, like AI doesn't have autism. Like, I just don't see it. I don't recognize it. Like, was ever that process in your head at all?
Unfortunately, I don't remember my original thought process of the situation, but I'm sure it was more so than line like, no, AI don't have it. No. It was more so like, no. And it was more so too like, wait, he could though, because some of it made sense too, because even when we would joke around, sometimes you didn't get it. Yep. You thought we were taking it personal on you, and I was like, that does make sense. He probably does have it. And then it was from that day forward, I do remember though that it helped me understand you even more, and just like joking around with you was different for me moving forward with you as well. And I think everybody, once they knew that, they approached you differently as well, because, everything that we do in our locker room is just love and jokes,
Sure,
so when you hear that one of your brothers is dealing with something and he might take it a different way, you're going to react a certain way to that, and you're going to try to change and try to make him feel as if, hey man, whatever I'm saying to you is not to be disrespectful by any means. I'm just joking around. Right. And because you were the funnest guy to be around, man. You would start rap battles. We'd start rap battles.
Oh, God, don't remind me of that.
AI wanted to be a rapper.
No,
and everybody that's AI wanted to be a rapper.
Oh man, that to this day, man, like that's one of my least favorite memories about my life was actually trying to drop some bars and practice shoot arounds. Like I remember, Chris Allen, CA, talked about it to the media one time, and I get a phone call from my wife, Kelly. She's like, "Did you really try to do this?" I was like, I was like, it was either that or run because I showed up late to free throw shooting.
Right.
Oh, man. But you really had to go there. Now people who are watching and listening to this are going to go, hey, Anthony Ianni tried to be the next Eminem. Like,
absolutely. You were definitely on your way to becoming the next Eminem. It was just no question about it.
and going back to to when the guys on the team, found out about me being on the spectrum, and you're actually one of the first teammates that I talked to about this. I had B Wood on a couple episodes ago, but B Wood was around for a year. Like he didn't know what happened in the weight room between me and Draymond one day with the VO2 workout joke, to the point where I almost wanted to knock his head off. And then Bork stepped in and told Day-Day, what was going on.
Yeah, he told me. Yep, I remember that.
Yep. And so, because I was so ticked off that day. And the next day I come in and Day-Day just came up to me and flat out said to me, said, "Hey man, like, why didn't you say any of this?" And I was again, like, I didn't know how you guys were going to handle it. I didn't know how I was going to treat it. Because outside of Austin, because AT and I have known each other since 15.
Right.
We've known each other for 17 years. AT got me right away because he knew everything about me. He had been around me the longest. Keebs, Mike Keebler, Keebs and I were in high school, but I don't think Keebs really quite understood it at the time. But where Austin, AT, he's one of those down to earth guys. He's got going to be, I kind of call him the preacher, if you will, preacher AT, because he's the guy that kind of kept everybody together, kind of kept the situation calm. Because there were times I wanted to jump over the tables at Champs and just you know what time I'm talking about. It was my year. There were times I wanted to jump over those tables
all the time
and just tackle people because it was so.
It was at least it was probably once a week. You used to get pissed off, at least super pissed off. You have to just storm out the room, or we'll just piss you off to that extent, either in practice, shoot around, film sessions, something. We were looking to piss off Anthony.
But and obviously, once you guys understood what's going on, you quickly adapted to it. And that's why I wanted to bring this conversation up, because I have listeners who are self-advocates, who are families, parapros, educators, and professionals in the autism field. Because again, it's not every day that you see an individual with autism playing college basketball, let alone a conversation right now about it with a teammate. And I wanted to bring it up because, you got to be with somebody who has dealt with it. And, and I think just hearing it from your perspective is going to open some eyes to people too, and be like, hey, at first they didn't know about it, but then once it was, once they did find out, they quickly adapted to it, and helped accommodate, me, Anthony Ianni, in those situations. And then not only that, Delvon, do you think and I don't ask you this because, anytime I have this conversation with, people about my teammates and how they were able to adapt to it, do you ever go out in public, or you work with somebody on set, or you work with somebody in the past and may have a family member or a person they know with autism, and
absolutely,
kind of make you feel like, an expert, a little bit more of an expert now?
It helps. Absolutely. It helps. And it just helps you understand people, you understand who they are a little bit more. And it's always awesome to me when somebody can be so brave and to be honest about who they are. And then if they can just be honest about who they are, me personally, I'm always going to be 100% about you, and just being able to be there for you. And if you're dealing with that and then you're going to be completely honest with me, I'm never going to hold that against you. I'm going to try to help and work with you. So I train kids in basketball, and I got a kid who has autism, so who I train. So I'm fine with that. There's nothing wrong with that. We just got to figure out how we're going to use that as a strength and not as a weakness.
Yes. No, completely agree with you, man. And that's what I'm trying to fight for when it comes to advocacy and acceptance in the autism community.
Yeah. And it just comes down to just communicating. A lot of people think that if they don't communicate, with somebody, that they don't, a lot of people think that by not communicating, they feel as if they're doing themselves justice. That they're hiding it and that they're protecting themselves. But in honesty, you're just hurting yourself, because you got people judging you and looking at you different. All you had to do is just be honest and tell somebody what it is that you're dealing with.
Right. Instead of fighting it and just letting it go. And I think when basically the cat was let out of the bag, thanks to, Vork, I kind of felt better after that, because now it's like, okay, now the guys understand why I get so upset with the joking sometimes.
Yeah.
Now they understand why I can't catch the sarcasm piece.
Yeah.
Like, you know, and I guess like shame on, and I say this all the time to myself, you know, I guess shame on me too for not trusting you guys, because, you know, but again,
it's hard. It's hard to trust people when you just coming into a new situation for the first time.
Yep.
You know, it's very hard.
I agree.
And I appreciate you looking and finding it in your heart to believe and trust in me with your secret at the time, you know, because that's tough to find someone to tell that to when you don't believe in communication. You don't believe that telling people is the right way, or you're a little afraid to do that. So I give you nothing. I have nothing but respect for you, man, for being able to say how you feel at a time when people knew nothing about that.
No, and to this day, man, like I'm thankful for guys like you, AT, I mean, Chapman, Keenan Wetzel, Dede, I mean, Alex Gana, especially, you know, I'm thankful for you guys, because you were able to adapt to it right away and just help out the situation, and just making me feel more comfortable being a part of the Spartan family, despite, you know, being on the spectrum, and learning more about your teammate, you know, learning more about what I went through. So I'm always going to be grateful and thankful for that, man. So
brothers for life, man.
Yeah, Spartan dogs for life, baby. So, but enough of the mushy stuff, man. So let's get into your acting career real quick here. So how did your career get started?
Crazy. I went to Michigan State as a criminal justice major. So I was a criminal justice major, but at Michigan State, you're required to take some theater classes to graduate.
Yeah.
So I took some, you know, regular, basic theater 101 classes. And I had a teacher at the time like, you're really good at this. You should, you know, think about becoming an actor. And I was like, nah, that's not for me. Romeo and Juliet, tights. I get made fun of by all the guys on the team. No, I can't do that. But I had a tutor as well who was very persistent, is telling me like, no, you should become an actor. Like, you should really try out to be an actor in the theater program. And okay, like if you don't try out, I'm gonna be mad at you. Like, try out. Like, if you try out, I would do your homework for a week. I would do your homework. I do your homework. I was like, really? You'll do my homework for a week? But she said, you gotta try. You gotta really try. You gotta like audition. You gotta remember your lines. You gotta like give it a your all. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna give him all. I'll do it. And I started to prepare my, you know, my monologue and my scene that I had to do, and I had to perform my monologue and my scene in front of, you know, a couple of teachers who are part of the BFA, you know, trying to see if you're good enough to become a BFA into the theater program. So I ended up auditioning for that. Ended up getting into the theater program. Ended up getting booked and having to try out for the school plays for the upcoming school year. So I tried out for As You Like It, a play by William Shakespeare. I ended up getting casted as Charles the Wrestler in that play.
Yep, I remember that.
So I ended up being able to do that play, but the problem is I had to only be able to do a couple of the shows, because the next couple of shows we were going to be in Maui for a basketball tournament. So I couldn't stay for everything. So I had to try to juggle between basketball and theater. And I started to fall in love with theater. I started to fall in love with the idea of becoming someone other than myself. At the time, I was dealing with so much with the injuries and, you know, not playing the way that I thought I should be playing. And to be able to step outside of my world and step into someone else's world as an actor, be a whole different personality. I thought that was cool and intriguing. So I got to do Charles the Wrestler in the play As You Like It, but we ended up having a game and a play on the same day. So I had to figure out how we were going to make this work. So they decided that I would only do my lines, and then I would leave after I got done with my final line and go straight to the game. So the cool part was ESPN came to the play and showed some clips of the play during the game. So I was able to get pretty much my acting reel shown on national television in front of thousands of people. So Danny Mooney, the director for Love and Honor, my first feature film, was watching the game, and he saw the clips he saw the clips of the play during the game, and he was preparing to shoot a movie in Ann Arbor called Love and Honor, and thought I would be a good fit for a role in the movie. And he didn't know how to contact me, so he messaged me on Facebook. So I got a Facebook message from him, and I thought it was a complete prank. Like, one of you guys are pranking me with one of your friends, talking about I booked a movie in Ann Arbor of all places, knowing damn well I'm not stepping foot in Ann Arbor. So I'm like, this gotta be a joke. Somebody's joking with me. So I ended up messaging him back. I don't know, it maybe took a couple of days. I ended up messaging him back, and he said, would I be interested in auditioning for a role and coming out to Ann Arbor to audition? And I ended up driving out there to audition, and ended up getting the role in the film. And that really propelled me to get into acting. I ended up moving to Los Angeles 2 years after graduating, and that's how everything started.
Talk about, working with Liam Hemsworth.
Oh, it was awesome. He's a great actor. He's a great actor. Fun personality. He's an Aussie. So he loves sports. So we used to talk a lot about basketball, talk a lot about in his country, soccer. So or football. So yeah, he's a good guy. He's a good guy. Him, Austin Stowell, Teresa Palmer, got to work with all of those actors. And the cool part for me was just being able to watch them work.
Yeah.
This was my first time on a movie set. So just being able to watch and observe, and as a basketball player, it really does help you when you start trying to find different type of avenues and different type of career paths for yourself, because you just try to take those same skills that you learned in basketball and try to apply them to something else. So I was just applying what I learned in basketball, just paying attention, watching, learning by watching, and then going out there and try to do the same thing, and over time, just being on set, watching great actors, learning, perfecting my craft, I was able to work my way up the chain, and start booking roles that was good roles.
And they were, man. And, like you said, working with Love and Honor, you had a role in the movie Abducted, which, you were a mean character in that movie, man.
yeah, that was intense. That was crazy. And then that's what I say about, going into the cool part about acting, be able to play different type of characters, play different type of people. And that's why I got into it.
I remember seeing those clips. I was like, man, like he was into it, man. Like when I saw those clips, I was like, yep. I said, Delvon's got an incredible future ahead of him. Not just that, but you got to do the Cager with Keenan Wetzel. I remember I was on set at the Lansing Zoo.
Yeah, I remember. That was awesome.
And you got to make appearances on Taj.0. I remember everybody was pretty geeked up about that. You were on Real Husbands of Hollywood, on Kevin Hart's basketball team. Kind of talk about that. You got to work with Liam Hemsworth, and now you got to work with Kevin Hart for a hot second. What was it kind of like being around, one of the top comedians at the time?
Man, Kevin is hilarious. You see why, he books so much and why he works so much, and why people just love him, because he's a hard worker. He's very funny, and he is the nicest person you ever want to meet. And a lot of people don't know, but Kevin can really play basketball. He's actually a good basketball player. We were doing a free throw contest. He won a bet that he can make 18 out of 20 free throws. He made 19 out of 20. So he's not bad. He can play. And just being around those guys, I got to be around Nelly and Nick Cannon. They're great people. And you just get to see why it is that people are successful in this business. It's no secret. Just be fun to work with. Be a good person, and I just try to instill those same things that I know that I have in myself and bring that to the set, just being myself and being a fun person to be around.
So you mentioned Nelly, you mentioned Nick Cannon, Kevin Hart, Liam Hemsworth. You got to work with LeBron on an Intel commercial where he got to cry on your shoulder. I had no idea that was you, man, until somebody brought it up to me, and I had to slow replay on my screen. I'm I'm like, that's Delvon. Like, he's hugging LeBron.
Yeah, man, you got to be paying attention in those commercials. You can be on and off that screen real quick.
And now, we talked about it earlier. You play Dante on Games People Play, and you got an incredible, cast you get to work with. And one of them is Lauren London. I mean, she has an incredible background,
Oh, yeah.
Speaks for herself. I mean, she was with Lil Wayne and Nipsey Hussle up until he died. Just kind of talk about the cast that you get to work with on Games People Play.
Great people. I feel like I've been blessed my entire life to be around great people. I rarely have worked with someone who's like, oh man, he's just not a pleasure to be around. This is just not fun. So to be able to be in another situation where the cast is great, led by Saronis Jackson playing our lead. The production team is great. Vanessa Middleton wrote the project, and Tracy Edmonds is the producer of the show as well. Just to be able to be on a show where, there's so many star-studded people and star-studded talent. And like I said before, I'm just there to learn, there to watch, and to show them what I can do. Try to bring that same mentality that I brought to the basketball court. Hard work beats talent when talent doesn't work hard. I might not be the most talented. I know I probably haven't done this my whole life, but I know I'm going to outwork you. I'm going to work my ass off, and I'm going to try to show you that, I'm supposed to be here.
And obviously, watching, I tuned into every new episode, man, that was on BET whenever Games People Play came on. And, just watching you do your thing, man. And for me to be able to tell people like, yeah, I was teammates with that guy. That's my guy. Like the episodes and the show, man, is incredible. I'm excited for season 2.
Appreciate it. Thanks, man. I can't wait for you guys to see it.
So when is season 2 going to start? Have they announced a release date yet?
They haven't announced a release date, but it's looking to be in the fall, sometime in the fall.
Well, you already know, man. I'm going to be glued to the TV when that happens. And tell people.
Can't wait. Appreciate it.
Tell people where they can watch it.
You can watch it and catch it on BET. And you can even catch the season 1 on BET Plus if you have the app. Catch up on season 1 and get ready for season 2. We're bringing some fire.
No, I'm excited for it, man. And last question I want to ask you, and then the last 2 things we're going to do, what we do on the show is we do rapid fire questions with all of our guests. They're funny, serious. And then the last thing I want you to do is, because the show airs 3 times a month every Monday, is I want you to give your positive message of the week for the listeners. So my last question I want to ask you before we do the rapid fire questions. Any regrets?
Any regrets?
Yeah.
In what?
Any regrets how things ended up at Michigan State? Or did
no,
it?
Only regret I would have is, red shirt a year, get your body under you. Don't try to play through injuries. It's okay to sit out and get yourself situated and get 100%. I would tell that to any kid. But as far as the decisions I made to go to Michigan State, no regrets at all. No regrets at all. I wouldn't take it back for a second. I enjoyed my time there. I enjoyed the relationships that I built. And I'm just excited for the future that I have for myself, and also the future that, Michigan State has as a program. I enjoy being alumni now. I didn't really know how to experience this part of it. This is actually really fun. And it's actually more nerve-wracking than being a player and being an alumni.
I agree.
So, I feel like I'm more emotionally invested now than I was as a player.
Man, I love it, man. No regrets in life. And like you said, your situation is going to help others too. Because like you said, like if you go to college and you feel like that you need to sit out of here and get your body right,
yeah,
there's nothing wrong with that. There's
nothing wrong with a red shirt. For some reason, back in the day when we played, it felt like a red shirt was the worst thing that could ever happen to somebody. Like, you got red shirted? What? Oh my God, that's not good. Now it's like, okay, it's okay to get red shirt. So yeah, that's what I would tell kids.
Easily, and looking back on it, I think easily a blessing in disguise. And I think that's how,
Absolutely.
Unless you are a top 25-star kid going to play right away, if you're a 4-star kid and you got injuries going on or you need to develop your game more, a redshirt is considered in a lot of ways a blessing in disguise.
A blessing.
You get a lot more out of it in the long run. So
absolutely.
I love it, D-Row. All right, you ready for these rapid fire questions, my man?
Let's do it.
All right, question number 1. I always ask this question to every single guest I have on. Strawberry or grape jelly?
Oh, that's easy. Strawberry.
Just make it sure. Question 2, Jimmy John's or Subway?
I can't hear you. Oh, no, Subway got me sick. I ain't going to Subway no more. I'll try the other one.
Jimmy John's? All right.
Jimmy John's. We don't have that out here.
Stop. You don't have a Jimmy John's in Los Angeles?
No, I don't think so. I've never had it. I got to try Jimmy John's. I've never had Jimmy John's.
Wow. If I ever become a millionaire one day, I'm in Los Angeles, California, near you. Question number 3. Who is your favorite superhero and why?
Favorite superhero, I'm going to have to go with Spider-Man. I love Spider-Man. I really don't know why, but I will always dig Spider-Man. I'll always dig Spider-Man. Spider-Man and probably Superman.
Okay. I like that. Question number 4. You'll love this one. Favorite golf course?
Oh, favorite golf course. It got to be Augusta. Got to be. I love that course. I got to get on that course somehow.
It's the dream.
Who Anthony? How are we getting on that course, man?
Let me give Greg Ianni a call on Augusta. Question number 5. Best motivational speaker not named Anthony Ianni.
Best motivational speaker. Who do I like? I do like what's his name? Can't think of it off the top of my head, but I'm gonna go with myself. I think I'm a great motivational speaker. I'm gonna go with myself. I've been through a lot. You get to 31 years old, you've been through a lot in your life, man.
And that's a resume. Question number 6. Favorite role you've played on screen?
Favorite role that I played on screen? I'm gonna go with Dante Harmon. Games people play.
I was gonna say it's a pretty good one, man.
Wait to season 2. That's all I'm gonna say.
Ooh. Teasing the audience. I like that, man. All right, question number 7. Your dream vacation.
Dream vacation. Dream vacation. I would love to go to. I went to Fiji.
Okay.
So I would like to go back there, but that's already a place that I went to. So I'm gonna have to go with. It's always an island for me. Somewhere on an island. Any island you can think of, I want to go on. So all islands are my dream vacations.
Get you away from society, man. There ain't nothing wrong.
Yes, absolutely.
With that. Question number 8. Actor or actress you like to work with in the future?
Oh, no question. Actor, Denzel Washington. Actress, Viola Davis.
Ooh, very good choices. Question number 9. Madden or NCAA football?
Oh, Madden all day.
Nah, okay.
Play NCAA football. You don't know who you're playing with. You don't know none of those guys.
you got to do your research on Google and find out.
That's true. That's true.
If it's not Alabama, yeah, you're in trouble. Question number 10, and last question. Who do you admire the most?
Who do I admire the most? Probably my parents. I admire my parents the most just because I talk to them every day. I see the sacrifice that they make every day, and I want to have what they have.
I love that, man. And as always, last thing I need you to do, give the listeners and the viewers your positive message of the week for them.
Positive message for the week. Preparation meets opportunity. Do not forget it. Whatever you're working on, whatever you're doing in your life, just keep preparing, keep working your butt off, and just try to get 1% better every day. At whatever you're doing, just get 1% better at whatever it is that your passion is.
Ladies and gentlemen, my guest, he is not only my brother, a Spartan dog for life, but he is a future big-time motivational speaker, as he mentioned, because he just dropped the mic there on my show. Delvon, man, it's been a pleasure. I love you, man. Keep up the incredible work. And again, if you guys haven't checked it out yet, go check out Games People Play. Season 1, Season 2 is coming up in the fall. BET. Check it out. Delvon, you are incredible, man. I love you and always know I got your back for life, man. That's never going to change.
Anthony, I appreciate you, man. I love you as well. I can't wait to get together with you. It's been too long. We definitely got to get together and catch up.
We definitely got to make that happen, my man, for sure. I appreciate it.
For sure. Thanks for having me.
Thank you. Again, I want to thank Delvon Roe so much for coming on to the show today. Great conversation about a lot, from his basketball career to his retirement to now his incredible acting career. And it was just great catching up with him, man. Just an incredible guy. I'm proud to call him a friend, a brother, and a Spartan dog for life. And he has some incredible things to say, and I hope you guys took a lot from our conversation today. So as always, I sign off with a positive message for the week for the listeners. You know, I always do the guests and I always do my own. And the conversation I had with Delvon today really opened up to me in a lot of ways. And the message I want to send this week is, you know, Delvon talked about, you know, redshirting. You know, he wished he could have redshirted. He wished he could have done this, and how there are things that in life that may be blessings in disguise that, you know, we look back on and go, man, I wish I would have done this. I wish I would have done that. But the one thing I've gotten out of Delvon's story today is that he didn't have a whole lot of regrets in life. You know, he does not ever regret going to Michigan State. He doesn't ever regret retiring, and because it opened up a brand new door of opportunity for him. And he's knocking every single door down that comes his way when it comes to opportunity. And I couldn't be more proud of him. But my message to everybody listening and watching today is pretty simple, is no regrets in life. You know, because if we have regrets in life, you know, it is a promise and guarantee that those regrets, they are going to eat at us each and every single day of our lives. And we will be brought down for the rest of our lives filled with regret. So wake up every day and don't have any regrets in life. Again, we always talked about on the show how there's always going to be obstacles and bumps along the way in life, because that's life. That's life. You're going to run into challenges and obstacles that are going to be super tough to overcome, but you're going to overcome them. But on your path in life, as long as you make sure that you do everything you want to do, make sure you do it your way, nobody else's way. But along the way is make sure you don't have regrets in life, then life is good. And that's the one thing I respect and love about Delvon is that, yeah, he has no regrets about retiring. He has no regrets about anything that he did in the past. You know, he wishes he could have redshirted because he wished he could have taken care of his body. And that's the other thing too, is take care of yourself, because you come first. You know, if it's not family, you got to put yourself before others sometimes. You know, you don't need to please everybody. Take the time and have some time for yourself. And in the process, don't have any regrets. And I think that's the two things I learned today talking with Delvon is that take time to yourself, enjoy yourself, kind of treat yourself a little bit, like Jordan Morgan talked about in our first episode, and don't have any regrets in the process. And always know that there's always going to be opportunity knocking at your door. And when opportunity knocks at your door, you kick down that door and you run with the opportunity. So again, no regrets in life. Every opportunity that's knocking at your door, kick down those doors and keep moving. Don't have any regrets. And please, not only take care of yourselves, but treat yourself in life. Enjoy yourself and enjoy everything around you. Just like Delvon's doing. He's enjoying every second, every minute of every day. And he's looking to the future. He's not looking at the past. He's looking toward the future. Just like we all should be. I want to thank everybody again for listening. An incredible episode. We will see you guys again next month on the Center Podcast. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Again, if you want to check out more episodes of the Center Podcast, go to iTunes, Spotify, or Odyssey.com. You want to see today's video interview with me and Delvon, subscribe to the YouTube channel, which is the Center Podcast. Thank you guys so much. Peace and love.
Anytime you're shortcutting it, you're probably cheating some people. Players play. Tough players win.